This lesson we're going to recreate the header of the Apple website. Now the header is a bar which is normally used for navigation. It either sits at the top on mobile. Sometimes it's the free little line icon that you see in the top left, and you click it and it slides out. So it could it could take over the full screen. It could slide out from the right or left. But in our case, we're going to do it at the top. Now it's pretty simple to make, and I'm going to show you. We can link it up a little bit later on, but I'm just going to show you how to make it. And every website has a header. It's something standard across the web, so it's something you're going to have to do for each one of your projects. So to recreate this, it's actually quite simple. There's a logo in the top left hand corner. The logo of pretty much every website will take you back to the home page. It's normally a link. That's how it works. Then each one of these titles is a different section on the website. Then we've got a search icon and we've got a shopping bag icon. It's all pretty standard and something that you can easily recreate. So on the left hand side we have this panels, and they're like tools we can use. It's actually very, very simple. There's square, circle, triangle, line, pen tool, which is where you can draw shapes. Then there's some other tools which we'll get into a bit later, but all we need to do now is just draw this rectangle. So we'll draw this rectangle out, and we want it to be around the same size as the Apple one. So there we go, 48 pixels, and then I'm just going to click and drag it, and you can drag in and it normally snaps into place, which is a really good feature of XD. And then over on the right hand side we have this appearance, and the appearance is all the details really, corners, boxes, anything to do with the actual. So on the left hand side is the actual physical shape, on the right hand side is all the styling really of the shape. So I'm going to go down to fill, and you can see there's a little eyedropper tool here on the right hand side. If I just hit that eyedropper, I can just go into the Apple one and I can just steal the colour right from there. I can also remove the border. I don't really like borders on a lot of things. A lot of people joke in my videos because I say I don't like borders all the time, but to my eye, it's just something that's not. It's just not really modern in terms of web design. But you know what? It might come back. So there we go. We've got our border or our background. The next thing we need to do is make this Apple icon. So for the Apple icon, I'm just I've copied and pasted it from the web. It's quite hard to find the white PNG, so I'll leave the link in the description of where you can copy and paste this icon like I've done now, and just move it over and just make it smaller. There's two ways to do it. One, you can choose the corners, or another one is if you can actually do it by numbers here. So I can just make it 25 pixels. As long as you've got this little lock icon on, then you know what, you should be fine in what you're doing. So we've got the Apple icon. Let's just move it over here in a minute. Then next we'll sort out spacing in a sec, and there's one easy way to do that. But the next thing I want to do is let's make some of these titles. So just press T to get your text tool. Then just space out and just type in Mac. So Apple normally use Helvetica for their text. I mean, there's a couple of different fonts that Apple use. One is Helvetica. I'm not really sure how to say that. I think it's a Helvetica New. Helvetica Neue. It just means Helvetica New. And Helvetica is a really nice sans serif font. Sans serif fonts are ones without little kinks on them, and you know what, they're very, very readable, and they're modern. They come from a Swiss movement in design, and Apple really led the charge in Helvetica when it came out, or when they, it's been their font for years really. But type in Mac, then here on the right hand side where it says Helvetica, there's a little box which, if you hover over it, it says point text. If you just hit that, you'll see the actual box will go in size properly around the word. Then you can click and drag the word up, and again where it says fill, hit the eyedropper, and then we're going to steal the grey from the Apple. It's actually very, very hard to do. Like you might have to, you might have to zoom in and then steal it from there, because my hand's not that steady. So there we go. I've got the word Mac. Now you can see as I drag around, you can see I hold shift a lot, and shift normally locks it into place, or it locks it into the nearest guide. So you can see I hit shift on the guide, and it just, all these little pink icons or these pink lines appear with numbers, and that's a really good feature of XD. It's actually quite simple to get your things spaced out properly. So once you've done that, hold Option Shift and drag out from Mac, and it'll just duplicate the layer. That's something I use all the time. And then just type in the rest of the titles, and then as you do each one, make sure you hit that little button to point text, just so the box goes around there. And then once you do it once, and the spacing's good. Really, it's something. We got iPhone, then we got watch TV. So I'm just going to copy this across a few times. So let's call this watch. Oops, caps. So we got watch TV, music, and support. Be careful how you spell things, because I get torn apart a lot of the time in work for my spelling. I'm pretty sure I'm dyslexic. Let's have a go. Music, and then support. Right, so there we have all our titles. And then let me just show you how you can. So I think I ungrouped these. Let's just take a look. So let me just show you how you can select. So if you shift select all of your titles, then up here in the top right you can see all your spacing. If you just click, oh, it's hard to guess which one it is. I think it might be this one. There you go. That evenly distributes them. It's quite hard to tell sometimes from the icons what does what. Like they're all about alignment and how you can align boxes, but that, even doing the logo and just hitting that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where you can get icons from. So this is an amazing website for anyone, and it basically got me through a lot of my jobs. So first of all, check it out. It's the thenounproject.com, THENOUN project.com, and it's a place where you can go and get royalty-free images. So if I just type in search, what this will do is it's kind of like it's basically a store where a lot of designers put their work on there. So I can go in and I can say, oh, this looks nice. So I'm looking for a search icon. Yeah, I mean, you can type, look, there's 31,000 results. I mean, that's pretty cool. So you can pretty much get an icon for whatever you want. So I mean, type it in. I mean, a lot of these things take a long time to make. So this definitely saves you time. So if you click get this icon, then you know you can either pay for it and get the royalty-free version, or a lot of the time I just get the basic version. And I normally copy and paste this text here. So this is attribution text, and always download the SVG. So there's PNG and SVG. SVG stands for scalable graphic, whereas PNG is pixel based, and I'll show you why scalable graphics are so good now. So I already pasted these in earlier. So look, this is the difference between scalable. See when you zoom in and see how perfect the lines are, and you make it bigger and it's still perfect. It's because it's not actually an image, it's making it out of, it's called scalable vector, so it's doing it mathematically, and it's something that's like, it's not new. I mean, InDesign's been using scalable graphics for years, but it's just something that you should always get whenever you're doing illustrations or icons. Always try and make it an SVG. So you saw what I did there, just moved it across. They all come with this text on it, so I just deleted it, and then I just changed the, just changed the fill, clicked on it, changed it to white. Now I'm just going to resize that. Now let's take a look. It looks actually that it's like a grey. So I'll copy my grey. So this is called the hex code. I'll go in here. I'll click on the fill. And then I'll paste the hex code in, press enter. So there's my search. So just put that around there, and then the same for the shopping bag. So these are attribution text. So I pasted these in earlier, and I just copied and pasted them and put them at the bottom. I normally add them into the footer, and people have put a lot of effort into these, so it's worth doing. Unless you wanted to pay for the royalty-free version. But one thing, so I've just made that. I'm going to click on the fill, change that to white. Then I'm going to make that smaller and drag it. It's quite hard to grab this because you kind of got to grab the line. But I'm going to grab it into here. Then I'm going to resize it. I'm always clicking on the corners, and I'm always holding shift as I drag to proportionally constrain it. And then one thing let's look at this. Now I'm just going to shift that across a few times. Then I'm going to select them both, and then these need to be a little bit more separate. I mean, they're not perfect because they're not the exact Apple icons, but it's not a bad job. So if I was to go in and select this, I've just clicked into it. What I think I want to do is, I think it's too thin. So I'm going to check this button once I've clicked it next to border. I'm going to change the border color to white, and I'm going to keep it at 1. So you can see how it's made it a little bit fatter. It's about this, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to copy the hex code for this and paste it in on here. Press enter. So there you go. They're the same color now. Actually, they're not the same color. I need to go and change the border color. So yeah, there we go. That's looking a lot better now. So it looks like they're all evenly spaced out actually. So I'm going to just click and drag this across, and then you see it gives me that pink line. So that's my spacing, and this should do the same. Then I'm going to shift select all of them. I'm going to press Command G, or you can right click and group. Then I'm going to shift select, so the group and the background layer, and then I'm going to do my spacing here. So I'm going to, when you select 2 groups or 2 layers, what it does is when it's all in a group, it moves the whole group at the same time rather than individual objects. So I'm going to press that one to put it in the center, and then that one to do it vertically and horizontally aligned, so it's straight in, and then zoom out. You know what, we're not looking that bad. So there's our version of the header. The one thing I'd probably notice looking at that size is I'd probably say our text is a little bit too big. So I'm just going to select all the text. Then I'm going to change the font size. I'm going to make it 18. Then I'm going to zoom out again. I'm just giving myself a look from above. I still think it's too big. Then I'm going to actually grab all of these. I'm going to try and make that 16 instead. So I'm doing this on the fly, and this is normally how I like to create. I always zoom out and then take a look and then see if there's anything I can notice. And the one thing we're missing is the circle, but that's because I added something to my basket. But that's pretty easy to do. You just draw a circle, and then what we'll do just to finish this off is we'll just create this little bottom bar. So all we do is go to a rectangle up here. We'll then draw a rectangle across. We'll try and make it the same. We'll try and make it the same height. So just drag that across. You can't see it because it's on white, but if I zoom in, then I can just click and drag the corner and make it roughly the same. I'll remove the border. So there we go, looking good. And then this says shop online for fast contactless delivery. You know, it's probably easiest to do this if I head on over to the actual Apple website and then I can copy and paste the text. So I'll just go in and I'll copy and paste that text, and then I'll come here and then I'll just click T to give me my text tool, click and drag, paste. Now the color of this, I'm going to click on the fill and I'm going to make it a black just for now. Then I'm going to press this button thing again here to get the text container to wrap around my text, and then I'm just going to click and drag just so it's roughly in this area. Then I'm going to shift click both of them and do my center align vertically, and let's put that in there. You can zoom out just so I can have a look at text size again. That's again too big, so I'm going to probably put that at 14, and then just make sure they're aligned. Take a look, that's looking good, and then you can see the way this support is in a blue. I'm just going to click on support here. Now I'm going to click on this fill, click on support, click on fill, and then I'm going to just change that to a, you can just mess around with it and just change it to a nice blue. There we go. Actually looks more like a little bit of little bit of a purple actually. I'm going to make mine a bit more blue. There we go. So that's not looking too bad at all. So I hope that concludes that lesson. In the next lesson we're going to build this hero, and then we're going to work our way down the page. So at least now probably the best thing to do is select them all, give them a group, and then you can then, if you use this panel down the bottom left, click on this second one, and this gives us our layers. This is where we keep things nice and tidy. So we call this header, and then that's our header done. And within the header you can go in here and you can see all the layers. So keep things nice, and I'll see you in the next lesson. What's up guys? In this lesson we're going to create, this is what I call a promo. So you'll be able to break this down, and whenever you see websites you'll see an image, it's got a title, subtitle, and these are called call to actions, which are buttons. And you know, almost every website that I make now, majority is just promos, especially on home pages. Home pages are where you use promos at different sizes. This is called a hero, which means large promo, and it's normally the top thing on the top of a page, and this is where you're going to send people. This is, you know, the iPhone SE is the big thing at the moment. This is where they're pushing everyone, and this is really simple to make actually. So I've attached some files to this lesson, and one of them is just click and drag across the MacBook Pro image. Sorry, not MacBook Pro, what am I doing? The iPhone image. You can tell this, I'm doing this live because I'm not cutting the video, but just click and drag it across, and then just resize it by dragging the corner and doing it to the shape of the canvas. So I went in there and I got rid of the text, because a lot of the time these are just really simple to make. So now we've got our full screen image. I'm going to show you how to make the text, and the text will be standard across most promos, so we can reuse it. So press T to get your text up, then click and drag it across, and we'll just do the title first. So type in iPhone SE, then give it a fill of, looks like pure white. Then we need to bang the size up on this. Let's give it 42. See the size of that? Nope, too small. Let's give it 50, and then you can see how this is a lot thinner than this one. So this is the weight, and the weight we want to make it bold, and it's still too small. Let's give that 60. So a lot of the time, and then we'll do the corner thing. I don't even know what this is called. We'll just make the box to the corner. I hate it when it's bigger. And then you need to go back to your direct action tool sometimes. It's just this top one in the corner, and then shift click, and then, you know, center it, align there, and I'll zoom out and let's have a look at that. So it looks like, actually I'm going to change the fill, and I'm going to use this tool. It looks like it's just a slightly, oops, don't want to make it black. Use that, and then just make it that color, because it's not actually the same. And I'm going to make that, I think it's still too small. Let's make it 70. So I can tell that that's not exactly the same font. I'm just going to try Helvetica without the Noi on it. No, it's I can tell that's slightly different. So if you just look at them, so see how our one's a bit wider. There's a way we can kind of fake this to get it a bit smaller. And normally you mess around with character styles, and character styles, see this AV, this is the space in between. So if I change that to -10, it'll like condense it all a little bit. So if I do -50, you'll see what I mean. It kind of pulls everything in. And I mean, that bold looks a bit too bold actually. Let's just try it in medium. And let's just pull it into -70. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was. So we'll go with that. Actually, I think that, you know, now I look at it, it looks just a bit too crushed. So even though it's not perfect, I'm going to go with -50. I'd rather the text look good than it being an exact copy. So let's just do that. Then we have iPhone SE, and then we just need to put some text in again, and then that said lots of love. Bear with me, I can't remember what it said. Lots to love, less to spend. So let me just go back to the website. I can't copy and paste the text. That means I need to type it in. Lots. Sorry, I should have all this copied and pasted, but I guess you've got to do it again if you're doing it with me. So let's spend from. It's quite good. I really think copying websites is a good place to start. It's certainly where I started a lot of my stuff, because you just get used to building websites, and then you'll get used to building promos, and then you'll be able to reuse a few things, change the fonts, have a new looking website. And you know, a lot of designers do this, start off with a base and then work from there, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about by referencing already good websites and then making them, and just learning your trade like that. So let's just put that to regular. It's probably a bit too big. Let's make that 32. That's not looking that bad now. Let's move the box in. Now let's centralize it, and then what you'll notice is, see, this is called left aligned, when this is all shifted over to the left. Now we want it center aligned. This is the first time we've done this. So in your text, if you just hit this button there, this is your character styles. This is where you center align it, and then that puts it all there. So now you can shift drag across and see the guides are really helpful. See the way it snaps into place. And then this is a little tip that I learned when I was designing Wired magazine. So I'll show you how to space stuff. So this is called the X height of a character. See this, the little letters, not the capital ones. If you do this and then you shift and press down twice, 1, 2, that puts a 20 pixel gap. And I really like my stuff to be mathematical, but I always go from the X height underneath it. I just think, because that's the main line that your eyes see, and these ascenders and descenders, they're called, things that go above and below, they're not on the main line, so it just creates a nicer gap for your eye, really. So I'll probably give that 30. It looks like a bit more space. You know what, we're not looking bad so far. So next we're going to do this lesser one. So from 10. Why does I keep putting the hash thing in? It's a UK keyboard. 10.99 per month. Dot or 279 with trade in. There we go. So this looks. We'll use the eyedropper tool again. You know, like there are certain things I'm just doing over and over again, and you know, you learn them once, you learn them 100 times. You just got to have a really steady hand. I think I got it there, yeah. And then I'll make this about 16 maybe. No, I'm well off, 21. And you'll learn the font sizes as well. Like it seems to be, you know, 16's a common one, 21. You're like 16 is what we do for body copy, which is normal text. Then, you know, 32 is like headlines, and you'll just learn this over time. And especially when you're recreating websites, you'll just notice that they all use similar font sizes. So, you know what? We're not looking that bad at all. The reason it's bigger is because you can make this bigger if you want. You can shift drag it up, make it the same size as on the website. It's only because of the way I screenshotted the image. So there you go. It doesn't matter if you got things. See this is overhanging. This won't show up on your prototype, so that's fine to have. So I mean, look how close this is. What the designers do in Apple. They just design it like this. So then let's do learn more, and we'll do it in this nice blue. I can't. You know, I need to zoom in. And you know what, I'm not even the best at these tools. I've just designed websites for long enough to know that the tools don't really matter. It's more about the theory, which is what we'll learn later. But I mean, they're good to know. I mean, but the thing is, the tools change all the time. Like over the last 10 years, I've used maybe 6 different tools or something like that. So, and then you want to just make one of these arrows on your keyboard for now. It's fine. If you wanted to, you could go and this looks like it's an icon. So in the noun project, you could go in and, you know, get an arrow icon if you wanted to make it perfect and then make it blue. but for this I'm not going to bother to go in there because it'll just take some time up, and it's something that if you want to add, you can do it. So just do learn more, and then we'll just shift drag it across and call it bye. I mean, you can go into a lot of detail in these. If you want to spend hours on it, then go ahead. It's a great thing to do. And we'll get them, and we'll just move them across so it looks good to the eye. I'll group them, and then I normally click the headline, and then I'll do my center aligner just so it's perfectly center aligned. And you know what? There you go. Now let me just show you something cool. So in the top right hand corner there's this play icon. So this is the first time I'm going to show you the prototyping in this. If I hit play, this is like an imaginary browser, and this is our prototype. This is where we're doing everything. This is what we've created so far, and it's quite cool that you've created your first top of your website. You got your header, you got your bar, you got your promo here, and there's so much more we can do. So in the next lesson we're going to go down and we're going to just duplicate this, make a couple more promos, and then we're just going to go down the page and just finish everything off in the next few lessons. So I'll see you there. What's up guys? In this lesson we're just going to duplicate this hero and make these two promo boxes here. So I'll call them promo because you only normally have one hero on a page, and that's normally the top thing, but you know, they're exactly the same, so call them call them whatever you want. Terminology doesn't really matter here. But in the file, in the images, so just drop across one that's called iPhone 11, and we'll just do this one first. So on this image, just resize it until you know it's on. I think there's some black bars on my JPEG, so you know, just knock them off the side on the image, and that's not looking that bad so far. And then all we really need to do is, because it looks like the text looks like this iPhone 11, looks like text is slightly smaller, so we'll group all this, and then all you do is just Alt Option on a Mac. I don't know what it is on a PC, but Option drag it down, and then you've noticed it's put it behind this layer. So just click this layer, and I normally right click and say center back, and then that's normally when stuff disappears, it's because there's a layer system involved in these, and it's normally just behind the other layers. But on these it looks like these two, so we'll just click the fill and we'll just make them, you know what, instead of black, we'll just make them a very, very dark grey, and we'll do it like that. And then we'll just change the text on here to iPhone 11, and we'll just change the text to, you know what, just exactly what it says. So it says just the right amount of, I love mine now, iPhone 11. I've had it for nearly a year now. Such a great phone. So let's just double click on this and then change this text. It looks like it's a bit smaller, so let's go for 50. Yeah, 50 is fine. We'll center align that, and then looks like that's a little bit smaller as well, so we'll take that down to more like a 26. And I'm just guessing on these sizes, you know, it looks like I think that's 21. Let's just take that down to 18, and then because we just want the right hierarchy, so we want this the biggest, then this the second biggest, and then this the third biggest. It just normally makes everything make good, and then we'll just make sure they're centrally aligned, and then you know we've got the same buttons again, bring them up there, and you know what, I think the only difference is this space here doesn't look right, so we'll make that 20 just because it's a bit smaller. And then we'll bring them up and we'll make them the same spacing at the bottom here, so we'll bring them up, then 1, 2, 20, and then we'll just check that this is in the right space in the image like they've got, and then just press play and just have a look, see what this is like. So we've got this iPhone SE, wow, move down, iPhone 11, that looks, I'm just checking whether everything sits nice and sits right, so that's right. Then I'm just gonna click on this and just make it a little bit bigger, my my actual screen. Move these down, and then in the folder there's another image, and it's called iPhone 11 Pro. So just click on that, drag that across, and you can actually see something that they've done, which I haven't done actually, is I'm just gonna give them a 10 pixel border, or maybe 20 actually, in between the no, it's 10, in between the two lines. So if I just drag this up and then I press shift down on 1, and it goes in increments of 10. So, and then I'll just make that the right size, and then I'll just do it again, shift drag down, and then there we go. And then all I need to do is then alt drag all this down, send this again to the back, and then it looks like these two are in white again. And then change my fill to white, change this to iPhone 11. I mean, you can see how quick things get, you know, once you've built one thing. And then this says Pro. I really like the green in this, you know, it's an expensive phone, but it's a nice green, isn't it? Pro display, Pro. Anyone who's got this phone, let me know in the comments what you think of it. Is it a decent phone or not? Is it worth the extra? Is it worth the extra money? So that looks like it's $32.99 or wow, $7.99 with trade-in. That's expensive. And then did I get the right pricing for this? I didn't. I'll just change that just so it looks a bit. I don't want the same thing on each one. 22 or 559. And then you know what? We are looking good. Let's play that again. So promo, iPhone 11 promo, iPhone 11 Pro promo. I mean, this is a nice looking website. You can, yeah, but you can see how technically easy it is to make. And you know, these are the same thing. That's slightly bigger, but it's still the same thing. And so I class that as free promo boxes. But in the next lesson, we're gonna make these, and we're gonna call these sub promos. But all they are is the same as this, but 2 across. So I'll see you there. What's up, guys? Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to create some of these promo boxes here, and one thing I want to introduce to you is the idea of a layout grid. So you see the way, you know, we've been doing one column stuff so far, so we didn't need a grid, but now we want these boxes to be even, and the easiest way to do this is select your canvas, then here on the right hand side you see this grid, just check it, and this will create a grid which you can just switch on and off by clicking the little tick icon. And you see the way it's got these big blue columns? Yours are going to look different than that, and the reason is I've already gone in and I've just messed around with the sizes to see what worked. So for this lesson I want you to set it to 2, it's columns to 2, column width to 945 and gutter width to 10. So gutter width is the center in the middle, column width 945 is the pixel dimensions of this width, and this is what we're going to use to, you know, actually draw some boxes and create our layout. So for this one I just want to draw a box, and I'm going to draw it to about that size, and I'm just give it a fill of grey so I can see it. Then I'm going to get rid of the border, and then what I want to do is in the file that I've given you, we're going to have a look at some of the promos that I've made. So the first promo is for the watch. So watch promo, if you click and drag that in, but click and drag it into the box that you've just created, it will then paste it into that box. So if I switch off to see the grid, you need to select your artboard actually, and then just knock it off. See the way it's pasted it into that square? So for this, just duplicate it again, and then just double click in, and this is where you get to move things around. There's stuff within it. And then for the next one, you'll see MacBook Pro. I can then click and paste that within the box again. You know it's going in the box because the box goes blue. And then see how that's done that within the box. And then all I need to do is duplicate these two, move them down, give them a shift 10 to make this, to make the spacing of 10 between them. Do it again. And then there we've got our promo boxes, and then all you need to do is go into the file which I've made and just move across the stuff. So there's one called iPad Pro, I'll drag that into there. Then there's Apple TV, drag that one into there. Then there's Arcade and today Apple. So Arcade goes into there, and then today Apple goes into that final one. And you know, if you want to double click in them, you can move them about, you can resize them. That's how you get access to the image. But for now, at least we've created the boxes, and then all we need to do is go in and add the text, and it's really that simple. But I want to select all of these first and then just move them up here, shift 10, so at least our spacing's right. So we've got 10 in the middle, 10 up here, 10 up here. This is how things you know, if you press play now and have a look, this is how things look visually nice to the eye. So you see all these consistent spacing. I need to go in and change that. So always check your preview and you'll notice things. So that to me is unacceptable whenever you have little lines somewhere. So I'm a bit OCD, so I'll go in and I'll make that bigger, and then I'll click play again. And you know, you'll notice how unprofessional it looks sometimes when you see like a key line or something. This is something I learned in Wired magazine, and we'd spend hours making sure every line was pixel perfect, because you could just, you know, you ignore all the good design and you notice something that stands out, basically, which is what happens. And then 4D is, all we need to do is copy and paste this, and we'll go over here and we'll paste it in, and we'll just, it looks about the same size. In fact, I can guarantee you it's the same size. So we'll call this one, so this is watch with a capital, and you know, we could go in and we could change the text, but I'm just going to give that a couple of spaces up, because we need to go in and we need to just add a little bit more text, which says series 5, and they've got it in this red. So I'm just going to click on film. I'm just going to give it a red, and it looks like it's quite thin. So I'm gonna give it a light, and then it looks quite spaced out. So I'm at least going to put that back to 0, and then the size right down to 22. Then use this. This is my favorite tool on this, to make the box. Put it there underneath it. You know what? It looks still smaller than that, so maybe 18. And then I definitely got it wrong. It's definitely a regular. So there we go. Apple Watch Series 5. And then you can just, I'm just going to do one line of text now with the always on Retina display. Look, even Apple's telling me I've spelled it wrong, although I'm spelling it like, oh, maybe I did spell it wrong. I'm not very good at this, and then I'll get rid of that. And then I'll just, these lean more and by, these are on everything. And there you go, we've got a good space in there. Actually, that's taking a weird space, and so I'm just going to do that X height thing again, up to here, 1, 2, 3, 30 down. So then we've got that in there, and you know what, you can go in and you can add the logo. You can go and find an Apple logo in black from the internet, but to save time, I'm just gonna move this across now, center align that, make these two, make them white. I mean, you might find it annoying that the grid's always on, but for me, when I'm designing it, it's really nice and simple. So I'm going to make this MacBook Pro, and then this text says power dash moves, and just centrally align it. And it looks like there's no subhead on this, so I'm just going to move all this stuff up, and we'll do that again, 1, 2, 3 from there. And just make sure these two are aligned. But for example, say I made this one down here, if I shift these two groups and see this top one here with the line at the top, that will align it to the very top one, or it could have aligned to the bottom one by hitting the bottom one there, moving it all down. And the reason all that didn't move is because that wasn't grouped with the Series 5. And you know what, I've just left it in the image for the last 3, just so you don't need to go and do it. And I just want to show you something quickly, so I'll just quickly do the iPad Pro, and it looks like the same Series 5 text is actually moved above it, and it's called new, and all I did is shift click that there, and then I'll move these down again, 1, 2, 3, and just quickly change this text to your neck. Oops.